Washington, president number one. All right, and away we go. The first issue that Washington is going to have to deal with is the economic situation that we find ourselves in. If you remember, the Articles of Confederation had a weak economy. Every state was using their own currency. Some were relying on British pounds still. And so Alexander Hamilton has a plan, and his plan says, well, you know what? Let's just use the free exercise clause, and we'll create that national bank. And Thomas Jefferson on the cabinet says that's actually unconstitutional. He is a strict follower of the Constitution, and he says, you just created this Constitution. You find out exactly where it says in the Constitution where you can build this bank, and I'll support it. And Alexander Hamilton says it's in the implied powers where Congress can do everything necessary and proper. All right? So these two butt heads, one says it's constitutional, the other one says it's not constitutional. And eventually the first national bank is going to be created, and Thomas Jefferson's going to resign shortly thereafter. All right? We have this issue of the bank as well, and about debt. What are you going to do about the debt? Because most of the American Revolutionary battles happened in the New England states. The South already paid its debt. So there's this thing called assumption. And what assumption means is that the national government will assume the debts of all the states, the former colonies. And so what happens is that IOUs are going to be given to the national government, and now the national government has to pay those things off. And so what you have is that New England is going to have their debt paid through bonds, tariffs, and taxes. Everybody's going to pay those. All right, and then in exchange, the South is going to get the nation's capital. So the national government assumes the debt, and then we are going to have the nation's capital in the South. But the South has changed over time. It is outside Virginia, Maryland, and Foggy Bottom, which becomes known as Washington, D.C. Woo! All right, so we fixed our national debt. That's cool. Number two, the French Revolution. A lot more coming on that lovely event. But basically what happens is in 1789, the French Revolution is getting started. And it's peaceful. They have the Declaration of the Rights of Man. This is before the terror starts. And the United States says, look, we know that France helped us out. We know that. But we can't get involved in this. And so we have the Neutrality Act. All right? And basically what it says is we won't get involved in a country's business, but we'll get involved in a country's business. So we won't form alliances, and we will trade with everybody. More to come on the Neutrality Act later. All right, 11th Amendment basically says states can't sue each other. All right, states were fighting over territory and suing each other, and you just don't create a more perfect union whenever you're suing each other. All right, Whiskey Rebellion. Well, whiskey used to be used as currency, and now it's being taxed. It has what's known as an excise tax, and they're being taxed to help pay for the national bank and to help assume the debt. These farmers in Pennsylvania get angry and they say, we're not going to pay a no taxation without representation. They start bringing tarring and feathering back. They burn down the tax collector's home. It's a very bad situation. And so Washington says the no taxation without representation doesn't make sense because you have a government. It's giving you representation. It's said that they agreed to these taxes. You should pay it. It's not like the colonial tensions all over again. And so he marches with 13,000 troops to western Pennsylvania. The troops hear that Washington's coming, and they scatter to the wind. Basically, the reason you need to know this is because it's the first test of national authority. Washington says this is the law of the land. I will enforce it, and if that means that I have to hunt people down to do it, so be it. And luckily, this ends peacefully. Jay's Treaty, it's kind of complicated. It ends with damn John Jay. Damn those who won't damn John Jay. Basically, what happens is the French Revolution divides America. England is blowing up our ships. France is attacking our ships. So basically, we send John Jay over to England. And what happens is an agreement. And the agreement is this, that England's going to leave the forts in 18 months. We are going to have to pay our colonial debt. And England is not going to pay us for any of the lost cargo or slaves that they took in the Caribbean. And so this is a pretty bad deal. Damn John Jay. Damn those who won't damn John Jay. So England's not taking us seriously. But it does have one positive outcome, and that is Pinckney's Treaty. Because now that we're friends with England again, at least on paper, we open up the Mississippi River. Charles Pinckney, or Thomas Pinckney, my apologies, goes over to Spain and works out an agreement where we get the Mississippi River open and the Port of New Orleans open, which was a big deal earlier during the early part of the critical period after the American Revolution. In terms of Native American issues, Washington has a lot of great things he does as president, but in terms of Native Americans, it's not very nice, his response to Native Americans. The first thing is the Battle of Wabash River. He sends General Arthur St. Clair with about 2,000 troops. 900 of them are going to be attacked by Native Americans. So give it a couple of years, he sends Matt Anthony Wayne, American Revolutionary veteran. He goes back into the Ohio River Valley, and he is going to attack. It's going to be an easy victory there. The Native Americans are aligned with the British, and basically they see the Americans coming and they scatter, they run to the fort, they're knocking on the door saying, let us in, and the English won't let them in because they're trading secretly with the Native Americans, but if they open up the fort, it's going to become a bigger issue. So the Native Americans are going to be attacked. What happens is the Treaty of Greenville, Native Americans are going to give up their lands, and this is going to help lead to the War of 1812. There is a guy named Tecumseh here, and he refuses to sign this Treaty of Greenville, and he is going to start forming a confederation of Native American tribes to fight back against these whites encroaching on their land. All right, in terms of the Unwritten Constitution, we're almost here with George Washington. A president only serves 2 terms. All right, Washington says it's not in the Constitution, but I'm going to give up power again. This lasts until FDR in the Great Depression. It eventually will become the 22nd Amendment, 2 terms for president. All right, and then the last thing is Washington's address. He's like, America, don't form political parties and don't get involved in foreign affairs. He sees by Hamilton and Jefferson that political parties, factions as he calls them, are starting to rip the nation apart. And he says, when I leave office, please don't form political parties and don't get involved in foreign affairs. And to be honest with you, we don't really listen to his advice. All right? So there you have it, George Washington, the #1, the founder of our nation, and gosh, we love him. And in a couple of years, he's going to die. So, George, we miss you. But anyhow, study those notes. Good luck out there, and may the force be with you.